The session, when you hear certain things in the beginning of a session, within a few moments, the client is telling you a lot. And certain things will stick with you, and certain things you'll kind of store and figure, maybe I'll use them later, maybe I won't, who knows? Well, if you bring up hands, for goodness sake, you know, hands, and it began, and she said at the beginning, sitting at the edge of the table, my father's hands and my hands, and there's a hand theme. So there, if I look at the video, I'm sure I'll pick up the clue of why I went to that.
You asked about our hands. She said,
Okay. Okay, so this is a good lesson, everybody. Okay. Yeah. All right. Her hands were under her, feeling her back. Okay. Now, when someone begins to stream the way Bonnie did, a lot of energy is going on. And one of the things that happen is lips get dry and hands start to get cool and numb, okay? And by holding, we're going to have in the body-mind exercises is a wonderful exercise with hands. And we'll work with hands. And I was checking out how she was doing. As she said, my hands are feeling numb. It was not her hand, it was a part of her, an important part of her was feeling numb. And so I made contact with that part. And even though we went to other places, I stayed with that part, especially when there was emotional release. It was very important to stay with her hand and not run around and do anything else. You have one experience of the physical contact with the person, right on their muscle, on their bone, and right near it is usually the layer that's mirroring the physical. When the emotional, you know, when Bernie talked about performers, he and I talk a lot about this, a performer gets up on the stage, says the lines perfectly, and does the part beautifully, and no one is moved in the audience. You've all felt that with performers, musicians. When you are in contact beyond the technique and beyond the words, there's something else there crackling. You're getting into an emotional place. Now, performers have to exaggerate that emotional place in order to bring in the group watching. Or else they're just going to be observers watching a play. And when you see a great artist, and it looks so natural and simple, or a comedian, anybody who gets, something happens, they do something, which you did this morning with Bernie, they do something that opens up the space and kind of envelops people. And that's an emotional level. I could say here, let's see, I'm very sad. Yeah, I'm very sad. And you're watching. She's very sad. You know what I mean? I'm very sad. Let's see. I don't know. Gilly, I'm very sad. I really feel tears coming into my eyes. I am sad. What was the difference then?
The first time I felt like laughing and I didn't believe you. And the second time, it was like your heart was talking to my heart. And there was a lot of sadness.
That's the answer, okay? That's the answer. Her heart opened up, and this flood of emotions enveloped me, and I had contact, and I was still me, but I felt it. And we were including each other, okay? That's a very special contact. So when I responded to her, it came from that place. I wasn't technical. I wasn't repeating to her what she said. I was really feeling her. That's the difference between you. Someone says, I feel da-da-da, and you said, oh, you're doing da-da-da. Whereas when you really take in what they're saying, when you feed it back, it's different. So those were the state, you got that. Did you all feel the difference in that? It's very subtle, but boy, you can feel a dramatic, that's the dramatic difference. And it doesn't have to be loud. I could also say, oh, I'm so sad, and you still might not believe me. So it isn't the loudness, or it's the intention. I'm really feeling it. So I have to drop in and really feel it in me first for it to be authentic. So I have to have contact with me. So I know that place. I know that place of, here she is. I know, darling. Oh, I'm so glad you're back. Yeah, yeah. If anything, we're sharing the maintaining contact with Bonnie and I, and what was happening in maintaining contact. So this emotional place, so I wanted her experience, what is it like for someone to hang out with her as long as she wanted? Like a forever in that emotional place, and I wouldn't shut it off, and I wouldn't change it, and it would be just fine for her to be in that place. We didn't have to change the subject. And it would be easy to have gone somewhere else and deflected her yearning to have an important person in her life stay with her as she has feelings and not deflect it. So when you're with your client, they may give you 10 clues, and you just stay in what's the major one that you're contacting. You don't have to jump around a lot. You notice, but then you make an aware decision. And that was my decision, my choice, to stay with Bonnie, holding her hand as a metaphor, and physically feeling it, but holding that that hand, and letting her feel. And so she streamed a lot, and I didn't want to leave the hand to move. You know, in energy work, you might say, oh, now it's time to do this, forget it. What's important was the contact. If I had left the contact at that moment and started to, we would have missed the point. We would miss the point of this heart opening. So that's what happens with you in your sessions. When you do sessions with your clients, there may be some things that you see, oh, I should be doing that. And yet what's really foreground at that moment is you staying with that person right there. Because that's another yearning people have, to have someone not only listen to them, but my goodness, someone to hang in there long enough for something to develop. Because if we change it too much, it's not going to develop. You're at a stage right now, and your work is, in your practice in RSM, where you're developing. Where you're developing. There's contact, and maintaining it, and developing it. And it doesn't mean going to another place. It does mean noticing and choosing consciously to stay where you're staying.